Chivalry is defined as a system of moral and social code that is alive and well on Popstar. A rank of knight isn't given to just anyone, but specifically those who are especially talented with the blade. Blade knights are trained using blades, as you could probably have assumed, dedicating their life to that skill, while the sword knights are talented with swords. What's the difference really? I couldn't tell you. A one knight stands above all the rest as the most powerful warrior in the galaxy. But then maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. A little while after King Dedede's defeat, most likely after the gourmet race, a stranger wanders into Dreamland. The masked stranger, now known as Meta Knight, simply watches and waits until King Dedede takes a move and steals the pieces of the Star Rod. He quickly decides to aid King Dedede, just another lackey of the king it seems, here to cause trouble for everybody. However, this one is different, to say the least. When Kirby first encounters him, Meta Knight gives him an invincibility candy that makes Kirby impervious to damage, but the next time he sees him, he's ordering his goons to kill the pink puffball. So what's up with that? Meta Knight helps us beat some of our enemies, but he also attacks us? What's his deal? Throughout Kirby's adventure, he's a figure that constantly tests your skills and assists you, making him seem like less of an enemy and more like a teacher. Throughout the game, he doesn't fight you directly. Instead, he's sent in his squad known as the Meta Knights, that is Meta Knights with a hyphen, I must specify, who working together make up a mini-boss. In the Orange Ocean, Meta Knight finally challenges Kirby to a duel, but it's different than any other fight in the game. Meta Knight offers you a sword so that it can be a fair fight. No crazy copy abilities and no fighting empty-handed. Meta Knight wants a fair fight, as if it's all to test your skill. It's almost as if your entire journey has led up to this point. Meta Knight has many incredible abilities, but he uses none of them in this battle, meaning that he truly is here just to test Kirby's strength. Meta Knight doesn't want to destroy Kirby, he's just trying to push Kirby to do the best he can. Why, you may ask? Well, maybe he knew. After all, this is going to be Kirby's greatest challenge ever, and was most likely to be the first encounter with a creature that dates back to the creation of a great evil that we haven't seen yet. A creature who we've discussed before, known as the Nightmare. This is the first enemy that Kirby has ever encountered that has a connection to the mysterious people of Halcandra, which only begs the question, who is this mysterious masked figure and how did he know the secret of the Fountain of Dreams? After Nightmare's defeat, Meta Knight decides to go into hiding, and he doesn't make his second appearance until the sub-game in Kirby Superstar known as The Revenge of Meta Knight. While the other chapters in Kirby Superstar could have happened before Kirby's adventure, since their significance wasn't too great to the overall timeline, it goes without saying that the Revenge of Meta Knight comes after the defeat of Nightmare. Something about the citizens of Dreamland just letting Kirby save them time and time again has enraged Meta Knight. The king steals food and the citizens just sit and starve, forcing Kirby, who is someone who just arrived in Dreamland moments ago, to go out of his way to bring the food back. There's an angry bird causing trouble, the citizens just complain and it's up to Kirby to stop her. An evil space wizard is infecting the dreams with nightmares and people are losing their dreams. No one even bats an eye and it's up to Kirby once again to handle it. Meta Knight is tired of the lazy lifestyle of Dreamland and decides that it's up to him to conquer the entire land and force them to work. Okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch there, buddy. I mean, you could have just, I don't know, told them to stop being late. I don't know, just kind of a big leap in logic for me. This is the only time that Meta Knight acts like a complete villain, but even then, he does it with the best interest of Dreamland in mind. He doesn't take over because he's evil, but because he's concerned that if they don't shape up, Dreamland will not be ready for what comes next. So he puts together a crew of the best warriors he could find. The Meta Knights make a return as Meta Knight's personal security force, as well as the once mentioned Sailor Waddle Dee, who helps command the soldiers, and the mercenaries hired as Meta Knight's private army. And finally, Captain Vol, who is a bird. There's really not much else to say, it's just a bird. They set out on the newly constructed Halberd, Meta Knight's private ship, and set a course for Dreamland. One way or another, Kirby gets word of this information and goes to intercept the Halberd before it can reach Dreamland. Using the Warp Star, Kirby lands on the Halberd and attempts to stop it from taking off. The plan? Eat stuff. He gets attacked by the Meta Knights and makes it to the rocket valve in hopes that he can destroy the rocket before the Halberd even takes off. However, Captain Vol activates Meta Knight's newest weapon, designed to deal with Kirby and enforce the new ruler. The Heavy Lobster is a powerful golden machine that's used to destroy enemies. While Kirby is fighting it, Captain Vol decides to take off. After being launched off the Halberd by the rocket he was trying to destroy, Kirby lands in an island right next to the Halberd's takeoff zone. Kirby is forced to navigate through the island in a race to keep up with the Halberd. This is where we encounter the Twin Woods for the first time. Kirby takes the Warp Star, but this time when he tries to go into the Halberd, he is shot down by the raw power of Meta Knight's new weapon, the Main Cannon 2, and he's been sent flying into another island. In this island, Kirby again desperately tries to catch up, fighting through waves of enemies. It all stops when Kirby encounters Dynablade, and what seems like another boss battle suddenly changes to something different. Dynablade remembers Kirby from their first encounter, and remembers how Kirby helped her children, so Dynablade flies Kirby back onto the Halberd. Dynablade is shown to be stronger than the Warp Star, able to keep flying after being shot down by Meta Knight's powerful Main Cannon 2. Thanks to Dynablade's help, Kirby manages to get on board and continues where he started, taking down the ship piece by piece. He fights through mercenaries and encounters the Meta Knights throughout the entire ship. After blowing up the Main Cannon 2 and the front deck, Kirby heads to the left wing to try and destabilize the ship. With only a Mr. Frosty guarding the left wing, Kirby blows it up and goes inside the Halberd to make his way to the right wing. However, before he's able to make it, Captain Vol makes the decision the best way to deal with Kirby is to send the Heavy Lobster again. Technically the Heavy Lobster beat Kirby once, so it can do it again. Of course, that's not what happens, and Kirby destroys the Heavy Lobster and takes down the right wing. Kirby only has one objective left, and that's to find the ship's reactor and take it down. Captain Vol also makes a comment here, which I still don't get. If anyone understands what Captain Vol is talking about, let me know in the comments because it sounds really dumb. Heading up to the reactor, Kirby might find Lance Knight's secret stash of 1-ups and food, which gets him a proper scolding from Captain Vol. And Sailor Waddle Dee, of course, just wants to eat a little because it looks delicious. Kirby arrives at the reactor while the crew discusses how the reactor cannot be damaged, but if it were to be destroyed, then the ship would be sure to go down. Unfortunately for the entire crew, Sailor D accidentally explains how to damage the reactor, by making the laser beams from the reactor's defense gun shoot the crystal center. A boss battle takes place, in which Kirby can't directly hurt the reactor, but he can only dodge the attacks and then have the reactor hit itself. He has to keep doing this until the reactor explodes and lets out all the wheelies that help power it. Details like this are so cute and fun. With the reactor down, the ship is now on a collision course with the ground. Can I say that? Does that make sense? It sounds cool, I wanted to say it, okay? The ship is now falling and the crew is panicking. Panicking! I have the high ground. The ship is now free falling and the crew is panicking. We get to see Meta Knight's compassion come through, as he orders all crewmates on the ship to evacuate immediately. It makes you wonder if anyone died. Since it is a kid-friendly franchise, Nintendo would probably tell you no, but this is sort of the reason why Kirby gets a bad rep as a killer. Now at this point, the ship is doomed, so the crew make their decision to leave or stay. Captain Volt makes the executive decision to become a chicken and make a run for it, never to be seen again, while the Meta Knights and Sailor D decide to stay with Meta Knight out of sheer loyalty to him. Very respectful that Meta Knight not only decides to go down with the ship, but he decides to stay fighting with Kirby to make sure others can escape. Honestly, after this event, it's kinda crazy that Kirby and Meta Knight ever get along again. The Meta Knights put up one last fight against Kirby, and after being defeated, they make their escape from the ship. This leaves only Meta Knight and Kirby alone for their epic duel. With Sailor Waddle Dee too, because he's just curious to see how this all goes down. It goes without saying that Meta Knight is actually pissed off with Kirby this time. At this point, he holds nothing back, because while the last time he was doing it as a training fight, this time he feels betrayed by Kirby. He has tornado attacks and sword beams and all kinds of crazy powers that he uses to destroy Kirby. He does, however, give Kirby a sword at the start of the duel, as he still believes in his sense of honor. He actually loses the fight, no surprise, showing that at this point Kirby has surpassed his teacher, which is a big motivator for Meta Knight going forward. Kirby makes a new friend with a wheelie, and as the two of them try to make an escape, Sailor D also makes his move. With that, now Kirby is on his way out of the ship, and Meta Knight is not having it. He reveals for the first time his actual devil wings, and he chases Kirby, launching fireballs and slashing at Kirby in order to slow him down. However, as Kirby got closer to the end of the road, Meta Knight gives up and flies off. Kirby lands on a hillside nearby, and the two of them watch the Halberd slowly hit the Orange Ocean, possibly the same Orange Ocean that Kirby and Meta Knight had their first duel. Meta Knight actually takes a long leave after this. He is not present anywhere in Kirby's Dream Land 2 or 3, in fact he's not even around in Kirby 64, so Meta Knight goes away for a while. The Revenge of Meta Knight is honestly one of my favorite stories in Kirby because of how action-packed and fast it is. There isn't all that much to the lore, but covering this should give some context for another Kirby stage in Smash Bros, and an important part of the story between Meta Knight and Kirby. Meta Knight's break lasts a while, showing up in a few spin-off games, but for the most part, Meta Knight takes the loss to the Halberd pretty seriously. However, in the end, this didn't stop Meta Knight, as he was now determined more than ever to get stronger and save Dreamland. Probably the story that patched up the relationship between Kirby and Meta Knight would be Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. My personal favorite Kirby game, yay! In this game, Meta Knight detects a new evil coming from the mystical artifact known as the Amazing Mirror. This mirror was a doorway into another dimension, somewhat of a parallel dimension to the dimension that Kirby lives in. A great evil had been born there and is now threatening to come into their world, so Meta Knight decides to enter this dimension, save it, and in turn save Dreamland. This, however, does not go according to plan, as Meta Knight soon encounters his mirror world doppelganger, Dark Meta Knight. Just take Meta Knight and remove all of his honor and respect, and that's Dark Meta Knight. A truly evil figure who, for whatever reason, craves the destruction going on in the mirror world and doesn't want it to stop. Without talking about too many topics that we'll cover in other videos, Dark Meta Knight is defeated by Kirby, and with a bit of Meta Knight's help, the two of them save Dreamland from the shadowy figure. In some ways, this patched up the friendship between Meta Knight and Kirby. Kinda. Because in the next game, Kirby Squeak Squad, a similar scenario has presented itself much like when Kirby and Meta Knight first met. Squeak Squad, a group of thieves, has been terrorizing Dreamland and accidentally steal the prison of a dark entity that bears a resemblance to the last two villains that came before. Kirby thinks that the chest that the Squeak Squads have is a strawberry cheesecake of his, but Meta Knight knows what's inside. However, Meta Knight doesn't exactly trust Kirby, so he takes the chest without telling anyone what's going on. Clearly he was still upset about the whole "you blew up my $1 million airship, made me lose all my friends and my team of personal bodyguards.
Remember my tale? Can't you take a joke?
Meta Knight retreats to the Halberd. Yes, that's right, he goes into the Halberd, which is still sitting at the bottom of the ocean, and it seems like he hasn't forgotten about it. Meta Knight has been slowly fixing it underwater, possibly explaining where he's been all this time. He even put together a skeleton crew to help repairs and defend the ship. Clearly this crew is not quite as mighty and powerful as the original crew, and the staff who were on the bridge are nowhere to be seen. However, this is all Meta Knight needed to get the ship up and running again. He even took the liberty of hiring the new and honestly kinda missed Heavy Knights, who are these big tough dudes with giant swords. Kirby made his way through the Halberd again, though admittedly not blowing it up as much this time. He makes his way to the main bridge and battles Meta Knight once again, who clearly has learned a thing or two from last time. He's got his fireball backs, he has lightning attacks, and his tornado is back. This time, maybe it's because of the reminder of his broken ship, Meta Knight does not offer a sword and instead decides to beat the pulp out of Kirby. You can maybe understand that Meta Knight didn't want to give Kirby a fair fight this time because that's how he lost last time. The Halberd takes off, out of the ocean and out of the atmosphere, clearly being upgraded with the ability to go into space. Meta Knight is once again defeated, and Kirby takes the chest, thinking he did it good. The Squeak Squad steal it back, and the monster that was inside got out, and Kirby has more work to do. If only they had talked it out, maybe this would have worked out differently. But maybe this finally did it. Meta Knight fixed his ship, no harm done, and maybe realized that Kirby is a strong ally to have and he should fight alongside him. Kirby even recognizes that Meta Knight was right in this case at the end of the game. The two of them finally come to realize that they need each other. Kirby is most likely stronger, but Meta Knight will always be clever and smarter. Working together, the two of them could do a lot of good, and work together is exactly what these two continue to do. Meta Knight and Kirby pretty much stopped fighting at this point, and honestly their rivalry was really cool and a bit more dramatic than I had realized as a kid, but it all comes to an end here. They had their ups and downs, but in the end they worked together. In pretty much any other time you fight Meta Knight, he's either possessed, controlled, or straight up reprogrammed. Whenever Meta Knight is himself, he is a friend and a powerful ally that Kirby can always count on. Kirby may be strong, but Meta Knight helps keep him grounded and keeps his moral code in check. And quite frankly, that might be Nintendo's solution to making Kirby a murderer. You know, having a guy who always tells him what's right and wrong. And I guess that's all for today's video. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comments below. Why do I hear boss music? Of course we can't leave out this really cool story! Okay, so this one is considered non-canon technically, but we all know it's too cool and interesting to not be canon, especially since we keep seeing this character appear again and again in different games. I won't go into all the details of this character right now, but you can bet your bottom dollar I'll cover him in his own video. In Summary of the Milky Way wishes, we learn of a giant clockwork machine that can grant wishes. Fuel for another video, I assure you. In this alternate universe, Meta Knight has a strong desire to become powerful, and in this alternate universe it seems like Kirby doesn't exist. But in summary, he goes around defeating familiar bosses like Dynablade and his own Heavy Lobster to eventually summon the Nova. His wish is to become the strongest fighter in the galaxy, which would mean that he needs to defeat the current strongest fighter in the galaxy. I mean, you could have just maybe wished to just be stronger than the strongest guy, but Meta Knight decides that what this means is that he needs to beat this guy to prove he's the strongest in the galaxy. Gotta give man props for his chivalry and awesomeness, honestly. To which Nova tells the tale of the strongest warrior in the galaxy, who was sealed away for causing a crisis which basically destroyed the galaxy. Nova awakens him from his slumber and the two knights meet face to face. Galacta Knight is the angelic warrior of legend who puts up a fight with the demon swordsman who dares take his title away from him. The battle takes place in a very strange looking planet where Galacta Knight uses many of the arts that Meta Knight has learned, but with his abilities all being heightened tenfold. He is an absolute unit, and I'll tell you, when I was a kid, this dude was hard, and I mean really hard. Galacta Knight earns his place as the greatest in the galaxy, and his theme lets you know all the raw power this guy's packing. He of course is defeated, and Meta Knight takes the crown of the strongest warrior in the galaxy, in this universe. Yes, unfortunately, Galacta Knight's existence is very odd, as he has never been part of the canon universe in the Kirby franchise, but the effects of his existence certainly has been there. If there's one thing for sure, we may not have met Galacta Knight in the universe that we always play in, but he is bound to be somewhere, and his legacy can be felt everywhere. He may not have beaten Galacta Knight in the universe we usually see, but he's still the greatest warrior in the galaxy to me. Whew, that was a long video. I appreciate a lot of you made it to the end of this video. It was certainly my longest video yet. But before I give some much needed thank yous to some of my supporters, I wanted to give a bit of news. While I certainly love making these Kirby Lore videos, I wanted to work on some other scripted videos as well, so I'll be working to bring back my White Emerald Show series and probably doing some movie reviews as well. I would also like to announce that I'd like to do some lore videos on other Nintendo franchises, but I'm stuck between two options and I'd like your help to decide. I will either be doing lore videos on Pokemon or on the Metroid series. I'll be leaving a poll for this decision in the community tab and will be made public 1 hour after this video is released. I'll probably make my decision 1 week or so after today, so please consider voting. Also, this Tuesday at 10 PM Eastern Standard Time, I'll be streaming the finale of Kirby Fighters 2 over on my Twitch, so please consider staying tuned to watch that, and I'll probably upload it to my YouTube exactly 1 week from that day. With all that news out of the way, I'd like to give a shout out to some of my supporters and friends. First of all, thank you to Jay or Canaro, sorry if I said your username wrong, for being the first booster on my Discord. Consider joining the server to speak with me personally and get updates on how I'm doing and how my videos are coming along, as well as just interact with people and other content creators after this long pandemic. Considering following me on Twitter, though I don't know how to use Twitter, and my Instagram to see updates on my other projects I'm working on. Consider checking out ScorpionC31C, I think that's how you say it, who has been a delight to talk to on YouTube. He makes his own Kirby Lore content and he does it a lot faster than me, so he's definitely worth a watch if you want to see more Kirby related content. Thank you very much from the bottom of my fish heart for watching this video. It was a tough one to make, but I hope to be back with more videos soon. Thank you for watching, and always remember, the world is a human-sized aquarium with human-sized fish. See you later, everybody!